Yes, hello world. Good evening, good morning, and good afternoon. Wherever you are and whatever time you might have in your own country, it's my pleasure to welcome each and everyone to the 110th Free International Webinar brought to you by the Institute of Global Professionals. Thank you for joining us tonight for this webinar. And my name is Gafor Aim Panimbang, a assistant professor 4 from Adjong Memorial Polytechnic State College here in Mindanao, Philippines. So it's actually my second time around being a webinar host. And so for that reason, I would like to extend my appreciation to the IGP for the continued trust and confidence. All right. And I'm so deeply honored being your host for tonight's webinar. So before we get started, we understand that there's so many new participants who just came in, who just joined in. So for that reason, allow me to share some few facts about the Institute of Global Professionals, or IGP. The IGP actually is a globally recognized international professional organization that serves students and community resources by providing a holistic social work and educational services and programs with the purpose of generating and producing a proficient and skilled today's young generations by way of conducting a series of webinars like this for them to be able to get their knowledge and skills enhanced and strengthened. True to its mantra of IGP, that is fit your skill, it is IGP's mission to empower the people and enhance their skills by learning beyond school. All right? So just a little housekeeping before we get started with the webinar for tonight. Everyone here is entitled to ask questions from our respective invited speakers. All you have to do is simply type in your questions on the comment section below, and we have to collect that one afterward, and then we have to bring them up at the end of the seminar, and then your questions will be posted on the screen for our resource speakers to have a chance to read all these questions that you might raise, and then it is also suggested that once you type in your questions, you better indicate the name of the speakers to whom you would like to address your question for clarity purposes. All right. And also, do watch out for the conduct of what do you call this quiz competition online. It's gonna be at the end of this webinar. So everyone also is entitled to participate in this quiz competition. So all you have to do is you simply sit back, relax, and keep on listening, pay attention, be attentive to the speakers' presentations, because all those questions that will be coming out from the quiz competition will be coming from the speaker's presentation. All right. And we will be also awarding certificate for those 3 lucky winners. All right. For those who would like to join the competition, the IGP will be awarding 3 lucky winners for the second runner-up, for the first runner-up, and for the champion. All right. So that's it. All you have to do is you simply pay attention to the speaker's presentation. And then the IGP also will be awarding certificate of participation to all of those active participants for tonight's webinars. When we say active participants, we mean those participants who actually pay attention to the speaker's presentation right from the start till the end of each speaker's presentation. And for you to claim your certificate, you can actually find the link that's popping up in the comment section below. And then you have to link that one so that you'll be redirected to the page where you can claim your certificate. And also, you can actually log in to the IGP's website. That's www.eduigp.com, all right? Using your own username and password. Once you get logged in, and then you will have a chance to download your certificate of participation. Everyone here is entitled to receive his or her own certificate of participation. And also, it would be appreciated, guys, if you could show us your support by leaving us a comment or feedback on the comment section below and tell us how you feel about the webinar that we're conducting right now. And also, one way of showing your support to IGP is by promoting this page. You can simply share this page to your FB groups, or you can just invite your friends by simply tagging them by typing their name so that you'll be able to have a chance to also participate in this tonight's webinar. Things like let's be generous, okay? We have to be generous. Let's share the knowledge and wisdom that we are having here in this webinar. All right? So, without further ado, let's get started. Tonight, we are actually presenting a topic entitled Teachers' Role in the 21st Century Learning. All right. I think this topic is so timely and relevant. Why? Because as we are all aware, we are now experiencing a major transition from 20th century to the 21st century. And for that reason, there are a lot of changes that's taking place. So the big question here is when you talk about 21st century, and then what's going to be the role of the teachers? Are there some changes when it comes to role among the teachers? How are they going to respond to it? Okay, how are they going to respond themselves? Okay, to the 21st century. Uh, they were saying there's a big difference comparing 20th century teachers and the 21st century because of the integration of technology in the 21st century. And I think it's quite a big challenge on the part of the teacher as well as the students. So those are the questions that I think we need to uh, come up with an answer. And we're so glad, guys, because we managed to invite three international public speakers all the way from Indonesia to share their thoughts and ideas on the topic teachers' role in the 21st century. All right. So without further ado, let's turn over the time to our first speaker for tonight's webinar. So, ladies and gentlemen, our first speaker is a lecturer at the State Islamic Institute, or IAIN Palu. He actually completed his bachelor's degree as well as his master's degree in English education at Tadulaku University. He successfully completed his doctorate degree in instructional technology at Malang State University and was also able to finish his short course at Leiden University, Netherlands in 2016. Aside from being an academician, he is also an active writer, a researcher in education and learning like ELT, the EFL, linguistics, literature, and disaster management. He is also a certified peer reviewer of over 30 national and international journals. He is a BAN or BAN S/M assessor in Central Sulawesi province and a core administrator of several professional and social community organizations. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming Dr. Abdul Ghafoor Marzuki, all the way from Indonesia. Sir, good evening. Welcome to IGP's webinar.
Well, thank you very much, Sir Gafoor. Okay, let me start my presentation. Okay,
Yes,
let me
take it
share
away.
first. Let me share first my PPT.
Okay, so just a few seconds. Dr. Mazuki is now preparing his presentation and he is going to project his presentation on the screen. So just a few seconds. Here we go.
Okay, Assalamualaikum and good evening, everyone from Indonesia. Thank you very much for Institute of Global Professional or IGP for this great opportunity. Abdul Ghafur Marzuki
Hello, sir.
from.
Hello. Sorry for
Yeah.
interruption. Your camera is off now still.
Yes, sir. Can you turn on your camera so that our audience can
Samarjuki,
see your
your camera is
handsome
off.
face? Yes,
Okay.
our my audience are so excited to see your handsome face,
Hello.
Dr. Mazuki.
Okay. Should I stop first my sharing? Okay.
Sure,
Yeah,
sure.
sure, sure, sir.
Okay. Okay.
If that would be better.
So, audience wants to see the gentleman, right?
Yes, they're eager to see.
Okay.
Yes,
Is
yes.
that okay?
See,
Okay.
Here you
as
go.
I told you.
So now you can start.
Yes, sir. Take it away. The floor now is yours.
Okay.
You can now start sharing your screen. We are now seeing your face clearly. All right, here we go.
Okay. Assalamualaikum and good evening, everyone from Indonesia. Thank you very much for Institute of Global Professional or IGP for this great opportunity. I'm Abdul Ghafur Marzuki from Central Sulawesi, Indonesia. On this opportunity, I'm going to share my experience regarding to the application of technology enhanced language learning, especially the use of Padlet as a learning tool in collaborative writing class. Well, ladies and gentlemen, my presentation title is that maximizing EFL students collaborative writing using Padlet. Okay, now we come up with the background of my study. My first consideration is that virtual learning during and post-pandemic COVID-19. COVID-19 pandemic has changed our life in many aspects. One of them is the impact on education. The presence of COVID-19 hinder teaching and learning activities, which are usually carried out in a direct meeting or face-to-face. However, this pandemic can accelerate the learning systems is done remotely by utilizing technology. The COVID-19 became a significant catalyst for spur education, such as encouraging more use of technology in virtual learning activities. However, there are significant challenges or constraints in implementing the virtual learning model. One of them is that teachers aren't accustomed to use learning systems that are entirely online. Difficulties arise because they haven't used to equipment for virtual learning models. Therefore, additional support and mentoring are needed to adapt to this new learning model. And the second concern is that educational technology on ELT. There are some reasons why it is really important. The first one is that students are engaging with technology constantly outside of the classroom. Students like to be interactive, and learning through technology has now become a part of their lifestyle. And the second one is that technology helps make teaching and learning more meaningful and fun. Students are also able to collaborate with their classmates through technological applications. And the third, assessing students' performance can be done instantly with technology. Beyond seeing test scores in real time, teachers can better can better track and understand students' grasp of the subject. And therefore, students know technology better than adults. It has become the easiest way they learn because it is such an integral part of their lifestyle. Engaging with technology in the classroom hasn't only help them learn better, but they also acquire multitasking skills. And the fifth, computers, tablets, or other forms of technology bring multiple resources for the teachers. That's not in the book. They not only keep students engaged with exciting new features and applications, but also help other ways to teach students materials. And the last, the sixth, we do understand that every students learn differently. They have different learning style, and technology helps with this gap as well. The students now are considered technological learners. And the third consideration is that the collaborative writing concept. Collaborative writing is involving more than one person or who contributes to the creation of a text, so that sharing responsibility becomes essential. Collaborative writing occurs when two or more people working together to produce a document with a group responsible for the end of product. There have been many advantages to collaborative writing in the aspect of language learning among EFL students, stated by the experts, such as it produces better text fulfillment and grammatical accuracy and complexity. It contributed to EFL students in terms of content, organization, vocabulary, and collaborative writing enhance students' writing and language proficiency. And the third consideration is that writing constraints. From all language skills, writing is considered as the most difficult one, as experts including Noonan, Brown, and Harmer, who said that writing is a very complex activity for its complicated components, such as the development of ideas, syntax, grammar, organization of the sentence, vocabulary, content, communication skills, and the use of punctuation. Okay, now, what is Padlet? Here I provide two definitions from the expert related to the definition of Padlet. The first one is from Klein 2013. He says Padlet is a free web-based application that provides a wall that allows the user to post words, links, pictures, files, and even videos which could be viewed by anyone with the link or address to the specific wall. And the second one from Fisher 2017, he says Padlet is an online virtual bulletin board that can be accessed through mobile phones, Android or iOS. So Padlet is a free web-based application. It's free to use, and we can reach Padlet web by typing the address in browser or just download it in our Play Store by Android or iOS. Padlet can be used by students and teachers. With Padlet, we can create an online post-it board that we can share with any students or teachers we want. Just give them the unique Padlet link. Padlet allows you to insert ideas anonymously or with your name. It's easy to use and very handy. So whoever has the Padlet board open on his smartphone or PC, personal computer, can see what's on it and what everyone is writing. Students just have to take a device and start adding little sticky notes online. They can see all the ideas gathered on the teacher board immediately. Okay, the next slide. Padlet as a learning tool in writing. The first one is that using Padlet, students and teachers or lecturers can collaborate, reflect, and share their paragraph writing. And the second one, Padlet creators can also moderate posts, remove posts, and manage their board. And the third one, students can learn through Padlet anytime, anywhere, with any internet-enabled devices such as a smartphone, tablet, and computer with an internet connection. So the keyword here is flexible. Padlet can be operated from smartphone or PC anytime, anywhere, as long as we have an internet connection. To use Padlet effective and efficiently, a user has to know what features which are offered by Padlet and what can be done on Padlet. As I mentioned before, both teacher and students can post a note which contain links, videos, image, and document files. When a student gives a response to teacher's post, an email will be sent to the teacher's email as a notification. So this application enables students and teachers to ask questions, submit the answer, give comment, and evaluate each other. Furthermore, using Padlet in teaching and learning activity can make a teacher gather students' ideas easily. It because every student in Padlet discussion can participate by giving an opinion anonymously. So the students will be more confident in proposing an argument or opinion. Moreover, this application can work well in classroom setting activities such as brainstorming, discussion, and project work. Okay, um, Padlet acknowledgement. Padlet application has met the standards of international educational applications, which is called the International Society for Technology in Education, or ISTE. This institution surveys and analyzes the feasibility of a learning media. The institution also defines its standards into various fields of education, namely eligibility for students and for teachers. Okay, now how to use a Padlet. So the next slide will be some simple steps how to use Padlet and how to apply Padlet in our classroom. Okay, the first point is that you just go to www.padlet.com and click on sign up if you want to make a new Padlet account, or login if you have already have an account. There are some ways to make an account on Padlet. One of them is using Google or using Facebook or Microsoft account. Another way is that we can use email account. You can also use email to sign up. After someone sign up on Padlet, there will be a page to choose membership. You may choose basic for free or pro for premium Padlet member with payment, of course. Finishing sign up and membership plan, Padlet can be started. Next, there will be choices to start on Padlet. To make a new Padlet wall, a user can use a blank page or use template which are already provided there. It can be seen from uh, some of the template that can be chosen and used by a user. Next, designing and managing the wall. From now on, a user can modify and set up their own wall. The action that can be done in modifying a wall include giving a name or a title, giving a description, and choosing the background image. Next action is setting up users' privacy. There will be some option that which can be chosen by a user in setting up their privacy. After setting up privacy, a user can start posting of their blank wall. A user can embed a link, video, file, document, or images on their posting. Some actions such as remaking, sharing, and editing of posting can be done if necessary. Okay, um, this is Padlet tutorial for teachers and Padlet tutorial for students. If you are interested to learn Padlet more detail, you may feel free to search and have a look in YouTube tutorial. Here are some examples of the link that you can browse. Okay, now let's move to the next slide. Maximizing EFL students' collaborative writing using Padlet. Uh, the first one is that brainstorming on a topic, statement, project, or idea. Students have to discuss or a project about which students have to brainstorm. Share the board or let students share their ideas and comments. This way, every student can see what the other thinks. You can discuss a few of the given answers with the whole class. And the second, leave questions blank. This way, students who are afraid to ask questions can still ask their questions anonymously. It gives a voice to every student in the room, even to the shy ones. And the third, gather student work. Use Padlet to gather student work all in one place. Don't use for ordinary homework because all the other students can see what the others have done. Use it for articles and research on a topic. Okay, this is still the continuation of the slide before. Online student portfolio. Use Padlet as a student portfolio tool. Create boards for every student and let them post assignments, articles, and projects on it. As a teacher, you can comment on each one and give meaningful feedback. And number five, ticket Padlet. Let your students answer some important exit ticket questions like what did you learn today? What didn't you understand? Or what questions do you still have? And number six, classroom communication. Use the Padlet stream layout and communicate assignments and important lesson material to your students by adding posts to the communication stream. Okay, next, number seven, gather teacher feedback. Once in a while, you should ask your students for feedback. Create a Padlet wall just for that, and make sure to let students comments anonymously. This way, they will be more honest. Don't forget to really do something with the feedback they gave you. And number eight, use Padlet for peer assessment. Use Padlet for peer assessment. Let students add to tops and one tip on the Padlet wall of their fellow student who just finished his presentations. Tops are things the students did well, and a tip could be something the student should improve the next time. And number nine, complete the story. Create a story and ask students how it should continue. Students can post their ideas on Padlet. Finally, take some of your students and complete the story. You will have some funny story. Okay, next, benefit of using Padlet application. Here I provide three benefits. The first one is that um, the idea of technology as a great equalizer, particularly when the participant uh, has the option to be anonymous. This can help the students who doesn't have any confidence to express their ideas and opinion. And the second one, the students are drawn to the novelty of the technology and seem to want to participate just to have the opportunity to use it. And the third, it can give the teacher a more complete picture of learning from all students rather than from a handful of the most vocal or most confident ones. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is a research methodology that I have used. Um, the research design is survey qualitative. I use three instruments, namely questionnaire, online observation, and interview. And the participants, uh, 52 students. Okay, and this one is the findings of my research. Um, Based on the questionnaire, online observation, and interview analysis, the findings show that Padlet could motivate students to participate in class activities. And the second one, Padlet can reduce students' anxiety in the classroom teaching and learning process. And the third one, Padlet also can encourage interaction among students and lecturer or teachers. And the fourth, Padlet can improve language accuracy through learning from peers. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is the conclusion. Padlet as a digital tool that can enhance or maximizing EFL students' collaborative writing. This study implies that Padlet has the potential to create an environment that can encourage collaboration among students and help improve language accuracy through peer-assisted learning. This will enable teachers or lecturers to take on the role of facilitators and lead the lower proficiency students to increase their confidence and more positive perceptions toward writing class. Finally, as a closing statement, I can say that the use of Padlet application is powerful and suitable to be applied in collaborative writing class. It can strongly motivate the students and engage them to be more actively and creatively in virtual learning. Right? Thank you very much and good evening, everyone.
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Abdul Ghafoor Marzuki, for that very awesome presentation. We can simply thank you enough for that very informative and awesome presentation. I hope our live audience are actually enjoying themselves listening to your lecture. I'm sure they love every second of it. And also, I hope we do have so many teachers who are in attendance and listening to your presentation. Thank you for sharing with us a new web application that's Padlet. And such kind of web application is so helpful among our teachers, especially those teachers who are handling English subject, who are actually into a writing skills. Like here in the Philippines, in senior high school, we do have a subject on English for professional and for professional, and it has something to do with writing skills among our students, and so I think that's a big help for them. It's a pleasure for sharing with us that kind of web application that our teachers can make use of. Actually, we do have a lot of web applications available on the internet, but that's still, I mean, the teachers are so lucky. Only the only question is, are they ready to adapt? Are they ready to learn it and apply it in their classroom? Because as we were saying earlier, we are now transitioning to a 21st century wherein there is a integration of technology in the classroom. But the question is, how are they ready enough to adapt such kind of technology integration? Anyway, thank you so much, sir, for that. Again, a very wonderful presentation. And then I'm sure our live audience do have a lot of questions to ask with regards to your presentation, especially the web application that you've just introduced. Because for me, honestly, Padlet is something that is new to me. I do have, I mean, I'm quite familiar with other web applications like Google Classroom, like LessIn, but Padlet is really something that is new to me. All right. Anyway, again, on behalf of IGP, please do accept our heartfelt thanks and appreciation for that awesome presentation. Okay, and you'll be back, sir, afterward for the question and answer portion. Again, thank you. All right, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Abdul Ghaffur Marzuki, in his presentation, he was able to introduce to us a web application that is Padlet, and that is very useful among our English teachers, whether in high school or in college level. So, moving right along, allow me to introduce to you guys our second speaker for tonight's webinar. All right. Our second speaker for tonight's webinar is actually a lecturer at the English Education Department and a faculty member of Educational Sciences and Teachers Training at Siliwangi University, Indonesia since 2010. She graduated from STBA Yapari Abah, Bandung, where she finished her Sarjana degree or S1, and she finished her master's degree or S2 in English education at the Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia or UPI Bandung. She is teaching technology enhanced language learning or TEL, digital storytelling or DST, and literature in ELT subjects. Her research interests are on technology enhanced language learning or TEL, English language teaching, that's ELT, ICT or information and communications technology for learning, and teacher education. She has published several articles related to her research interests and also a paper presenter at several international conferences. And you know what? Our second speaker also loves singing and traditional dancing. She is now the head of the Center for Cooperation at Siliwangi University and also a choir advisor of Swara Buana Siliwangi or PSM Siliwangi University. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are very fortunate in having us here, Ma'am Santiana SS MPD. Hello. Good evening, Ma'am Santiana.
Good evening.
Yes, thank you for taking time off of your busy schedule and joining us for tonight's webinar. It's really a pleasure having you here.
It's my pleasure to be here also.
Thank you. The floor now is yours, Mom Santiana.
Okay, thank you. Okay, is my slide is appears?
We haven't seen it, ma'am. We haven't
Oh,
seen it. You haven't yet projected your screen on, I mean, your presentation on the screen. You try to find the icon uh, live stream, I mean, share screen. It's on the uh, I think on the bottom part, center bottom part of the screen. Okay, so there you go. Again, while our second speaker is busy preparing for her presentation, again, we would like to remind everyone to please show us your support by leaving us a comment and feedback on the comment section below, and keep inviting your friends to be also part of this seminar for tonight. All right, so there you go. I think our second speaker, Ms. Santiana, is now ready.
All right. Is the appears on my slide?
Yes, we are now seeing clearly your first slide. You have a beautiful face, in fairness.
Okay. Thank you. All right. May I start?
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is a pleasure to welcome you all to the virtual meeting today. I'm Santiana from Siliwangi University, Indonesia, and also the representative of Indonesian Education Share to Care Volunteers. On this great occasion, I would like to express my gratitude to the committees of Institute of Global Professional who give me a chance to deliver a little bit talk entitled Teachers' Role in 21st Century Learning Challenges in Digital Era. And then what I have to deliver is related to the uh, background and then 21st century learning and teachers' role, challenges in a digital era, and how to overcome, and also the conclusion. Um, Ladies and gentlemen, now let's move to the first part of my talk, which is about digital revolution, educational system, educational changes, and technologies. Um, Nowadays, technology has permeated every part of life. In this technology era, the digital revolution has transformed almost everything from our work at our institution to our daily routine. It is influencing how students and teenagers play, access information, interact with one another, learn and relearn, and also unlearn. This revolution, however, has now separately infiltrated the educational sector, and this is true at all levels. For example, school, college, and then university, and now we explore the use of interactive smartboard, hybrid or blended learning, and also flipped classroom and digital libraries during the teaching and learning processes, among other things. There is a universal recognition that our educational institutions are out of date and are failing to cultivate the abilities necessary to adequately prepare our children for the future. Uh, Previous generation were strongly motivated to learn because their consistentness, and then young generation motivational profile shift dramatically, and then they are more curiosity, look like an emotion and involvement, and then it is become far more essential in their life. Teacher tasks in the 21st century have become more difficult in today's changing environment. When knowledge is particularly boundless, a teacher are required to become more digitally literate and accountable for their students and their own learning. They must cater to specific needs of each student. They must adapt to the unique needs of individual students in diverse courses, as well as create a student-centered learning environment that strives for excellence and over opportunity for inquiry and dynamic learning. Teacher must meet curriculum requirement while also promoting students' creativity, curiosity, and motivation. They must establish relationship with students, parents, and staff members while also providing a safe environment in their classroom. However, how to use technological development in education without sacrificing human values must be addressed. Um, some experts, Waller and Anderson, in 2013, say that higher education institutions face a range of opportunity and problem as a result of a digital revolution. This is because higher education institutions carry out members of academic functions such as teaching and research. They are influenced by the availability and the use of digital technology. Education is facing significant challenges as it moves from old modes of learning to new modes of learning in the 21st century emerging digital and knowledge society. Um, Ladies and gentlemen, there is a global concern that our educational system are obsolete and failing to promote the necessary skill and educate prepare to our children and how they can motivate and teachers' role in digital era has become more complex in the present changing world because of knowledge is almost unlimited. Um, that is a global concern that our educational system are obsolete and failing to promote the necessary skill. They can, what's that? Um, the new generation have different motivational. And teachers are expected to become technological savvy and accountable, not only for their own teaching, but also for learning of their students. They must adapt to the specific inquiry and individual student in diverse courses, as well as build a student-centered learning environment that strives for excellent provide change for inquiry and dynamic learning. The teachers should maintain relationship between the student and surrounding. Ladies and gentlemen, talking about 21st century learning, there are so many aspects which can be discussed related to the teacher's role. But before we're talking about the teacher's role in 21st century learning, let's talk about what is 21st century learning. The 21st century learning is the accumulations of knowledge, work, habit, and soft skill, uh, including digital literacy, critical thinking, and problem solving that help students lead successful career in the modern workplace. And then 21st century learning is mostly the student-centered learning. They encourage communities to develop portraits of a graduate embracing key skill, including critical thinking, and then communication, collaboration, and creativity that young people need to thrive in this complex, rapidly changing world. They should be able to have any kinds of skill. Ladies and gentlemen, so what should we know about 21st century learning skill? Fado and Trilling in 2009 explained that there are three basic skills that should be applied for 21st century learning skill. They are learning and innovation skill, digital literacy skill, and career and life skill. There are three concerns in learning and innovation skill. The first is critical thinking and problem solving. This related to the ability to use knowledge, fact, and data to effectively solve the problem. The second is communication and collaboration. Communication is the exchange of information to achieve a better understanding, and then collaboration is exchange of information and thing to advance the states of collaboration product. And the third is creativity and innovation. The creativity is the capability or act of conceiving something original or unusual. Innovation is the implementation of something new. The invention is the creation of something that has never been made before, and it is recognized as the product of some unique insight. Now, ladies and gentlemen, there are also 3 points of digital literacy skill. Uh, there are information and communication technologies, media literacy, and information literacy. Information and communication technologies is all communication technology includes the internet, wireless network, cell phone, computer, software, middleware, video conference, social networking, and other media application and services. Meanwhile, media literacy is encompassing the practice that allow people to access, critically evaluate, and create or manipulate media. And information literacy is the ability to articulate one's information need to identify and then locate and access appropriate sources of information to meet the information need to make it effectively use information resources regardless of format. Uh, Ladies and gentlemen, talking about career and life skill, Federal Entry Link 2009 also explained 5 concerns. There are flexibility and adaptability, initiative and self-direction, social and cross-cultural interaction, productivity and accountability, and leadership and responsibility. Students use instructional tool in 21st century learning to apply knowledge to new contexts, analyze information, and then collaborate with others, solve issue, and make decision. The goals of education is to provide students with a knowledge and skill necessary to participate in a knowledge-based society. Ladies and gentlemen, now we will move to the educational approach in 21st century learning. There are a few broad educational approach that are important to understand when transitioning from traditional lecture style teaching to active learning. This approach can be categorized into 2 content-focused approach and 3 project-focused approach. Um, Content-focused approach including blended learning and flipped learning. Blended learning is a method that employs technology to enhance student experience. And then this learning era can give a variety of changes for a teacher to interact with students and students to cooperate with others in peer-to-peer talk and students to work with devices that give the individualized content that they require. Educator here can frequently close uh, and choose to split a bigger space into learning station and rotate students through multiple learning opportunities within the same teaching hour. And then in flipped learning approaches, students to prepare for their courses in ingesting content outside of the class time in this manner. And then students work on tasks based on the a topic they prepare ahead of time during class. The educator here act as the professional mentors and then guiding students to independently master their subject. And then during the class, educator can choose between large group discussion and then small group discussion and also individual mentorship. In project focused approach, they are include first, teacher-led project. This approach gives the teacher a lot of control while also allowing students to collaborate actively and then apply their knowledge to project. The second is student-led project. In this approach, control shift from the teacher to student, and then educators set the parameter and student determine the content, structure, and format of the project. The third is full project-based learning. Full project-based learning occurs when the entire curriculum centers around student project work. Ladies and gentlemen, talking about 21st century learning, we can create a classroom assessment design. For example, we can use an evidence-centered design approach. This means is to create a classroom assessment. And then design begin by the stating what claims about what students know and can do they want to be able to make. This entail outlining the knowledge and abilities that the desired learning or measurement target include, as well as brainstorming the sort of evidence that would demonstrate that the students has mastered those information and skill. Only then is an evaluation geared to elicited evidence. And then create an assessment plan to collect evidence using a series of assessment over time. This is a multiple assessment are needed to gather evidence because it is unlikely that any single assessment will require students to demonstrate all elements of any one of the 21st century skill. And here, critical thinking is a good example. It is unlikely that any one assessment will collect sufficient evidence about the quality of student critical thinking with respect to analysis, interpretation, evaluation, inference, and explanation. Consider incorporating more than one 21st century skill into a classroom assessment is also can create as assignment assessment design because in the 21st century skill are intertwined assessment intended to elicit evidence of students collaborative skill. For example, will also by default elicit evidence of student ability to communicate effectively, interpersonality, and keep themselves on task. When considered in advance and incorporated into the design process, these types of overlap is a feature and not flaw in high quality classroom assessment design. And other assessment design is assessment evidence can be collected at multiple time points. The type of evidence needed may vary depending on the 21st century skill. For example, evidence of critical thinking and complex communication could come from final student work product, from a performance assessment, and student or peer reflection. However, for some 21st century skill, for example, collaboration and self-directed learning, it is highly unlikely that you will be able to gather evidence from final student work product as it is processed that it will be focused on assessment and not the outcome. Instead, the teacher will need to use a specific prompt or probes embedded in student or peer reflection and evaluation to gather evidence. And some task features are particularly suited very much to elicit students' use of 21st century skill. For example, tasks that provide choices about how to demonstrate the skill and then over sufficient challenge allow for multiple and then defensible solution are open-ended or unstructured are authentic and make student thinking feasible. Um, well, ladies and gentlemen, now we move to what is a teacher's role in 21st century learning. There are 6 points related to these matters. The first is network skill, communication skill, uh, thinking skill, nurturing skill, and then navigation skill, and the last is management of knowledge skill. And after we discuss related to the teacher's role, now we come up to the teacher's challenges in the digital era. The first is diverse students. Nothing has changed more than students themselves in this technological era in the last 10 or 20 years. The technology has facilitated in multifold a way to the students. Students have now got access to multiple knowledge via internet on their laptop and then mobile phone and tablet. A student is also curious by natures. As a result, the student have become more knowledgeable, more interrogative, more competitive, and more depending from their teachers. It has changed the way in which students understand any concept. And an average teacher who himself or herself is not teach savvy can get recognition and respect from these kinds of students. And moreover, due to globalizations of education in the last decade has put a greater impact on the type of student available in the classroom. Now, we have more diverse students in the classes with diversity reflection in their family background and then economic condition, physical condition, traditional, cultural languages and ways of doing things. The second is related to digital native. A student these days are never alone while learning. They are familiar with technology tool and they act in multitasking way, being always interconnected. They are always on. They always have their digital native around them on Facebook, on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, WeChat, or another kinds of application or a social media with the help of whole of the applications such as iPad, mobile phone, and tablet. So they don't even care what teacher is teaching in the classes if it is no way in addition to what is available on the internet. So facilitating digitalization in the class also does not guarantee that children will use it only for classroom lectures. They may use it for various other things like chatting, being socially happening, playing videos, game, and then watching movie, commenting around, and many others. Most students these days come to school and then college or university while immersed in social media where they life remove around social media in being happening around. Or for some cases, the commentator like uh, something that argue the digital native learn and think fundamentally differently. And the third is lifelong learning. Education sector now they have become a lifelong learning market where new courses, workshops, and seminars are taking place in order to make teacher as well as student to well versed with the changing technology in the fields of teaching, learning, as well as job market. So the situation of a teacher has become more of draconian concept where she is afraid of hit by the technology and education needs a very additional day. And the fourth is job issue. Uh, the teachers are responsibility regarding the integrations of technology in different learning contexts. The learning in formal contact is a consequence of the interaction between the teacher and learners. And in digital era, this interaction is over mediated by the information and communication technology. The result is a change of the learning environment and the different learning outcome. The the teacher student interaction in the face to face from does not only represent a ways of knowledge transfer, but also it stimulates the students learning on the following dimension. The teacher here should offer the learners the experience of various interaction alternative in order to value at the maximum the potentials of learning environment, putting in a fair balance the outcome and the individual learning and the result of the collaborative learning. And the last is integrations of technology. In the educational system and social society at large are responsible for developing the teacher training programs in order to equip future teacher with the necessary skill and knowledge to increase the chance for quality education, not only for the formal context of preparing teachers is of a great interest for theoreticals and practitioner, but also the identification of principles that guide the process of the teacher's learning. And then integrating technology in the methodology and the use of technology in order to support some particular component related to the participation in the context of the learning experiences represent the sequence of the complementary technology perspective. The person responsible for the structuring of the teacher training program have to integrate the formation goal related to both hypotheses mentioned and then in order to develop teacher competencies that will allow them to deal with technology in different education settings and that will support the use of ICT for own professional development. Ladies and gentlemen, after we know the teacher challenges in the digital era, so how we can overcome this problem? We can create a small class actually. The teaching with a whiteboard, chalk, and marker are now a thing of the past, and teachers have shifted to making use the projectors, DVD, VCD players, or e-learning system to display tutorial videos and short session online to help understand that learning can be fun too. Many schools now come up with a TV or projector attached to their whiteboard where it's easy to shift from a normal classroom session to an interactive digital session. This can make students pay more attention as we are now in digital era where Google is our to-go place. And the second is being digitally updated. In a tech-savvy world, education can become easily outdated as there is always something new happening. Equipping students to be updated with news and other subjects related to the topic is the best way to teach students to grow as a person. Students spend most of their time on their laptop, their mobile phone, their iPad, their tablet, and then knowing what sources students can reverse to online and knowing which website offer the best information can be a great way to guide the student. And we can also converting book to PDF. Books are now taken the Kindle and other tab, sending them note, references, and other information in PDF format that can be easily accessed on laptop and also can be accessed from a mobile phone or tablet. And it is a good way to encourage students to choose to study better. And the fourth is encouraging online tasks. We can also training students on subject by conducting fun online tasks from time to time can create a good learning environment for them. Students can be given online quizzes, for example, an assessment that they can take from home and replacing general homework that they find accessible. And uh, next is conducting online webinar. How attentive are students where there is only one way communication with the teacher standing in front of a whiteboard. So we find that classroom becoming noisy or students um, or students becoming easily disinterested in the topic. So conducting online seminar and webinar, enabling all students to engage and commenting and participating in questionnaire, and then also can help them stay alert. Keeping students interested throughout a lectures is an art and a talent that teachers need to have to benefit from the entire teaching learning process. It is a very vital. A student engaged in a seminar and the lectures involve two-way communication. So, another thing is supporting online research. Here, similar to how a teacher is well prepared for a classroom session, encouraging a student to be prepared to can drive student to be excited about taking up classes. Online research is a trending and people find exciting career in market research and more. Asking students to find something online that is difficult to find or encouraging online research by giving them a list of things to find before the next class is I think it's a good way to keep a student looking forward to more classes. It really does feel like a great achievement knowing a student found something that no matter student could find and and give the students reward or appreciating their online finding. It could be encourage students to make the best use of the digital resources they have and creating communities here uh, is interaction between the teacher and student does not have to uh, end at school in the classroom. An online community is where a group or a team stay connected online and then submitting project, discussing a topic, or expressing the ideas. The teacher here can set up platform for the student to communicate their ideas, and then the teacher can suggestion and subject related to queries for them to solve anytime. Being open to online activities like this will keep the student more focused even outside of classroom or outside the school, without realizing the fact that the learning process continue even after class are done. Ladies and gentlemen, now we come up to the conclusion. Uh, Teacher in the 21st century learning must be aware of significant changes in the architecture of changeability that involved new understanding and the redefining of teacher competencies in order to sustain students' knowledge international and deep understanding of information and communication technology for a successful professional and uh, personal life. And then an effective teacher must expand his or her professional profile beyond the traditional instructor function, embracing the hypothesis of guide who distribute resources by providing a varieties of learning experience in the classroom and in the context of virtual learning community. And via its instrumental function, teacher in the digital era should be concerned with the integrations of ICT in the learning experience provided to students, as well as the structurings of learning environment on the coordinate of technology. And that's all my presentation. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
All right, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. You just heard Mom Santiana. All right, for her very awesome presentation. Thank you, Mom, for that sea of wisdom and knowledge you shared us with your amazing lecture. No wonder
Welcome.
you're excellent for the topic that you have delivered to us. What I understand from your lecture is that being a teacher in the 21st century requires a lot of patience and everything, because you have to get yourself engaged no matter what. I mean, you have no
Yes,
choice. Yes, you really have no choice but to engage yourself with the 21st century, because we are here. It's here, right? And then another thing is that you have to consider as you have mentioned, you have to consider the lifelong learning skills of the students, the media information literacy, the digital literacy, the communication literacy skills, and everything. I think it's quite a huge task for the teacher to have all those skills. I mean, that she has to consider in developing the skills of the students in the 21st century era. But the problem that I saw here is the readiness of the teacher, especially a teacher that is dealing with, you mentioned about digital natives, and we are referring to the younger generations who actually born surrounded with gadgets and everything, digital
yes,
tools.
digital
Yes.
platform.
I mean, what I'm trying to say here is it would be too difficult for teachers to teach a people who is already fully equipped with proper technology and tools, digital tools, while the teacher is somewhat labeled as digital immigrants. So when you say immigrants, you have to do a lot of patience. Can you imagine when you migrate from one place to another, and then you have to pack up your things, you have to bring along everything with you, and then I mean, you can just imagine the hardships, the patience that you have to undergo by migrating from one place to another place. And that's exactly what is happening with the teacher in the 21st century. You have to adapt, but be that as it may, hard as it may seem, but still you have to engage yourself, because that's the only way that we could ensure the continuity of the education of our students and our children, who are uh, the people who are next in line in running the affairs of our society. They're the future leaders of our society. So we have to do everything just to, make them a bright person in the days to come as they will run the affairs of our society. Anyway, thank you so much, Ma'am Santiana, for that very
Thank you.
remarkable presentation. Again, on behalf of the Institute of Global Professionals, please do accept our appreciation and congratulations for that very wonderful presentation. And please stay with us for the question answer portion that will be conducted at the end of this webinar. We still have
Sure.
one more. Thank you, madam. All right. So there you
All right.
go. But before we finally call on our last but not the least speaker, again, I'd like to remind everyone to please share your thoughts with us. Kindly please leave your comments, feedback on the comment section below. And also kindly please invite your friends, okay? Kindly please share this page to your FB group so that others may know what we are doing here, all right? Let's be generous. Let's spread the knowledge and wisdom that we are learning in this particular webinar. And again, for those who would like to ask questions, you can simply type your questions below the comment section, and then we will be gathering all those questions afterward, and we'll be posted on the screen so that our speakers can have a chance to read all those questions that you might raise. Okay, as we will give time for the question and answer portion at the end of this webinar. And also, please do watch out for the conduct of quiz competition. Okay, that sounds interesting, right? Okay, so at this juncture, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce to you our third and last speaker for tonight's webinar. All right, our uh, our third speaker actually is popularly known as Mr. Wafi. All right. He is actually an English lecturer at State Islamic Institute of Madura under the Religion Ministry of Indonesia. He is a faculty member of English Letters at University of Pesantren Darul Ulum or UNIPDU Jombang, East Java, Indonesia. In 2011, he graduated from his magister program at State University of Malang, majoring in English language teaching program. Among his expertise include English language teaching and training, public speaking, motivational speaking, and also a journal reviewer. He is the author and master trainer of Terapi Ngomong Inggris Versi MUI or English Speaking Therapy MUI version. He is also the founder and CEO of Smile, the Cram English course and training Pamekasan or Pamekasan Madura and the Kampoeng Bahasa Pamekasan. Yes, that's it, Pamekasan. In the year 2002 to 2009, he worked as English trainer at Mahisa Institute of Pare Kedere, known as Kampong Inggris or English Village. He wrote many articles related to English teachings and Islamic perspective on language teachings, creative, imaginative, and joyful English teaching, or CRIJET. He is also writing some motivational books. His life motto is smile, thank God, and love. So, ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming our third and last speaker for tonight's webinar, Sir Abdul Wafi, SSNPD. Sir Abdul Wafi, welcome to the webinar, IGP's webinar. It's our pleasure having you here, sir.
Check. Hello, is it audible?
You do have some background noise, just a little bit.
Okay.
Okay, we hear some noise on your background,
Is
but
it
I
okay
think
now?
that will be fine. Hello, sir. Can you like do some mic testing so we can ensure that we can hear you well and clear? Hello, sir. Can you
Check.
test your microphone? Yes.
Is it
Oh,
okay?
sir, we're having a very
Check. Hello. Okay. Is it
okay. I think
audible?
that would be fine. Okay. Yes, we can hear you well and clear.
Well,
I think
I think.
you may know,
Mhm.
sir, you may not start. I think we can hear you clear and well.
Yep. I guess. I think this is the best I can. My apology
Yes,
for
yes.
this inconvenience. So let me share my screen.
All right.
Okay. Um, and process. Yep. That's it. Can you see my screen?
Not yet, sir. I think it's still loading, but maybe a few seconds it will be projected on the
Is
screen.
it now?
Okay. Is that part of your slides?
What? Um, you can't see my screen? Yes. Can you see my
I
screen now?
Okay, that's it, sir. Your screen is not projected on the screen. We can see it clearly. I think you can start with your presentation, sir.
First of all, I would like to say thank you very much for giving me this valuable time and opportunity to be among you all virtually. And it is my great honor to be a part of your event for this great event. I think for I have an Institute of Global Professionals.
Do you have a
Okay,
problem with your microphone?
that is my topic to discuss today. And I guess if my brother Abdul is talking about Padlet and my sister Ibu Santana is talking about
Sir,
teachers.
Sir Wafi,
Yep.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but let me ask first our audience if they can hear you well because you're having a very loud noise at the background. I think you have to
Is it
check your
okay
microphone.
now?
Okay, I think that's quite good.
That's better.
Okay, that's quite good. That's good. That's good.
Okay. Well,
Okay, you're good.
if Ibu
You're good to
Santan
go.
is talking, what is that about? I guess I'm really far from
Yeah.
the crowd.
Okay, you're good to go, sir. You're good to go. Everything is fine now.
Okay,
You're good.
good.
Okay.
Well, to make it short, because I guess this is late at night here. It is almost 9 o'clock in the evening here, so everyone is trying to get some sleep. So again, I would like to say thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. That is my topic: gaining automaticity in EFL speaking and English speaking therapy. And if Pak Gofo is talking about Padlet and Bu Sanjan is
Hello,
talking about
sir.
the role of the teachers and
Sir
how to
Wafi.
teach the students in 21st century skill. But my topic here is, I guess, this is a raw material. I guess I'm trying to
Okay, I think
make
it's fine.
balance between using technology and I think that is not my voice background. I guess. Check. Okay. Should I carry on?
Oh,
I guess that is not mine.
can you please check first the microphone? Can you please check the microphone that's being built? I mean, embedded in your computer. Okay.
What happened in my computer? I guess.
Okay, I think that's good enough. That's good
Um.
enough.
Okay. Let me make it fast.
Okay,
Okay. So
that's
that's about me. my name is Abdul Wafi, and I'm from State Islamic Institute of Madura, and my education background is about ELT, English language teaching, and as you mentioned previously, that I am as the author and master trainer of Trapping Ngomong English versus MUI. Okay, so let me continue my. Okay, so before coming to my topic, so there are some questions that I would like to invite you all to answer these questions. If not uh, possible, so you may answer the questions personally. The first is English a need in a today's 21st century? And I guess if you answer this, so the answer must be yes, because English is a global language, and everyone nowadays needs English to go with the global demand. I think some teachers or some lecturers are getting difficult to improve their career because they have low in English. Okay, so the second question: do you agree that the teaching of English, particularly in the FL context, still does not meet satisfactory yet? And according to the research, that is yes. So if you see in schools that many students in schools, although they get materials of English, so they are not able to use that English in their daily communication, particularly in their speaking. And number three, what is the trend of English language teaching for 21st century? So if I'm not mistaken, so the point of teaching English for 21st century skill here is about how to make students able to communicate in English, communicative approach. So we invite the student, we try to make students able to speak English, to communicate in English, whether in spoken language or in written language. Okay, number four, does every student have or get high technology to support their learning? And I guess not all of students have or get high technology to support their learning. So, like particularly in some remote area or countryside, they have limited access in using or utilizing the technology. Probably we are okay to talk about Padlet, we are okay to talk about classroom, but for the students who have limited access in technology, probably they have to learn, and they have to adapt themselves by the condition they have, although they have low technology. And number five here, do you really think that spoken English is difficult to master? And I guess for some people, they say yes, they are difficult to master. Speaking English because of some reasons. But I guess speaking here is taken as quite complicated skill to have, since there are a lot of things to have if you want to be able to speak English fluently. And number six here, the question is fluency and accuracy. Which one is better to focus on? If we are talking about fluency and accuracy, which one is better to focus on? So I myself prefer to choose fluency should be focused on than accuracy. Why? Because if we focus on accuracy, I think we will get many troubles to make ourselves fluent in our English. And number seven, if unable to speak English fluently is taken as a disease, is it the real disease, or are we hiding behind the real disease? So, for example, if some students said, "I can't speak English. I'm not able to speak English." If we take it as a disease, is it the real disease, or are they hiding behind the real disease? What is the real disease? Probably like unself confidence, and afraid of making mistakes, and feeling awkward in with their partners, and uneasy, feeling uneasy to deliver uh, their ideas in English. So if the students get problem in being afraid of making mistakes and not know they don't have high self confidence. So the real problem is not because they are not able to speak English, but the real problem is because they are still in low self confidence. They are afraid of making mistakes. So the focus is we should focus on that. Don't focus on improving students to be able to speak English, but we focus on increasing their confidence. So this is the first. And the last is, do you agree that providing students with self-investment in learning is helpful for their independent learning? Self-investment here is like we teach the students some techniques or strategies that can be applied independently by themselves. So we provide some techniques or strategies that students can practice those strategies or those techniques by themselves in everywhere. So I guess yes, that providing students with self-investment in learning is really helpful for their independent learning, since the students can practice what they have got in their school, in their classroom. They can practice it outside. In their community. So those are the questions that probably can sharpen our understanding of my topic to discuss. As you see that my topic is gaining automaticity in EFL speaking. So let me continue to the next of my presentation introduction. Well, speaking is taken as the most important skill to master. And as a yes, according to research here, that speaking is taken as the most important skill to have. Why? Because one who is said to master a language is the one who is able to speak it. Although we know a lot about grammar, we memorize various and many vocabulary items, but we can't speak it. We can't speak that language. So we are not taken as the master of the language. Why? Because we are not able to speak that language. Well, in language teaching, fluency and accuracy are continuously discussed. Some say that fluency should come first. Some say that accuracy should come first. Why? Because if they do mistakes at the beginning, so this will become a habit in the future. So they should learn right from the beginning, correct from the beginning. But for the scholars or people who support that fluency should come first, yes, I can say that if they are fluent in their language usage, so they can correct the mistakes by themselves later. The main point, make it fluent. That is the first. Well, in EFL speaking, fluency should become primary concern over accuracy for some reason. Okay. The reason of it that many students have good understanding in grammar, they have a lot of vocabulary items, but because they have to speak accurately, so they are not fluent in speaking. Well, speaking here, the paramount one is the main point is being understood. The point what we are going to say, so they don't need to we don't need to analyze every sentence. We don't need to analyze every grammatical structures, but the main point is being understood. What is the point? So if we think about this, I think fluency should become the primary concern. So what is fluency? Well, fluency here, according to the book of Brown, Principles of Language Learning and Teaching, fluency here is a flowing, natural language, message oriented. So, for example, if I say to you, I'm talking a lot, but the point is only about telling that I am fine. So, we don't need to have long sentences to say that I am fine. We just get the point. Oh, I'm fine. That's good. For example, good or amazing. We just say like that. So that is fluency. We don't need to think a long time to arrange the sentences. We don't need to think a lot about grammatical structures. But the main point, the message we are going to deliver to the person we are talking to is accepted or is received by them. Well, that is fluency. Meanwhile, accuracy here is being accurate, clear, articulate, grammatically, phonologically correct. So this is language oriented. So when we are speaking and we use language oriented, so I think our effort to improve our speaking, to improve our language is really really in hard job. Why? Because we have to think about grammatical structure. We have to think about. We have to memorize a lot of vocabulary items. But we focus on fluency. I think we don't need to think about the main point. The message we are going to deliver is accepted by them. Well, so the difference between fluency and accuracy here, so we have natural exposure and formal exposure. So when we are teaching students, for example, and when we would like to expose the student naturally, so the main point we focus on the meaning. We don't focus on the form. Even the grammatical structure is wrong, but the message is clearly accepted, so that's enough. We don't need to think much about grammatical structure. We don't need to think about the form of the language. So I think that's it. And the next, here we have language competence versus strategic competence. Well, what is the difference between language competent and strategic competence? Because if you focus on language competence, so it means you are going to focus on accuracy. But if you focus on strategic competence, it means you are focused on fluency. For example, if I ask you, the meaning of what is that? Like this one, wire, for example. Okay, cable, for example. The English words of this thing. So you just point this, or you just say this. If you go to let's say department store and you want to buy this cable or this wire, and you don't know how to say this thing in English, so you just say I want this, I buy this, I want to buy this, or you just point, or you just say this. So this is strategic competence. You don't need to mention the word, but you just focus on how to make this. The people you are talking to understand what you mean. So that's between language competence and strategic competence. If you focus on language competence, it means you focus on the vocabulary items, what is written on the dictionary. But if you focus on strategic competence, you don't think about the word, but the point is you just focus on what is that? The message you are going to deliver to the person you are talking to. According to Brown, in his book PLLT, Principles of Language Learning and Teaching, known as automaticity. So that is the term is popular. The popular term from Brown. Well, so now we come to fluency and automaticity. Automaticity here, the principles, according to that book, Brown, Douglas H. Brown, page 55. So the principles of automaticity here, the first is subconscious absorption of language through meaningful use. I mean, when we are talking to the people, we don't need to focus on the language. I mean, on the language, the word. We don't need to focus on the grammatical structure. But the main point, we focus on the meaning we are going to say to the person we are talking to. And the second here is efficient and rapid movement away from a focus on the forms of language to a focus on the purposes to which language is put. Again, so, for example, I forget about the vocabulary of cable or wire, for example. And well, in that time, okay, I need this. So when we have rapid movement away from the focus on the form of the language to a focus on the purposes to which language is put, so this is the principle of automaticity according to Brown. And the next is efficient and rapid movement away from a capacity limited control of a few bits and pieces to a relatively unlimited automatic mode of processing language forms. Again, so still here is focusing on rapid movement away from thinking too much about the language, I mean the form of the language, to what is that? To uh, to having meaning, the meaning of the language, not the form of the language. And number four here is resistance to temptation to analyze language forms. So if we find student, for example, and the student asks us as a teacher, what is the for example, I waking up in the morning, for example, I waking up last morning, I waking up in the morning, and the student say, no, you have a grammatical, your grammar is wrong, so you have to use, if you say in the past, so you just say simple past tense. The student focus on attempt to analyze language forms. So it is not automatic according to Brown. So according to Brown, so we don't need to think to analyze the language form. But the main point, what we are going to deliver, the message we are going to deliver here is we deliver it automatically. So I think that's it. And now is how to gain automaticity in FL speaking. So since you know that being able to speak English here is a need in our daily life, so that's why here I would like to propose you some techniques or some strategies how to gain automaticity, how to gain fluency in EFL speaking English that you or we can teach the students in a classroom. Okay, so the name of the the technique I write here is English speaking therapy for adult learners here, not for children, because we have to think about several things to be used for the young learners. This is for adult learners. I think for university students, college students, or public, general people. Okay, so the steps if you want to gain automaticity in FL speaking. So the first is add things before, and the second is getting more fluent in the FL speaking. So, like I told you before, if unable to speak English here is a disease, is it our real disease or are we hiding behind the real disease? If the students are afraid of making mistakes, if the students do not have high self-confidence, so the problem is not, is not unable to speak English, but because they are afraid of making mistakes and they don't have self-confidence. So we focus on that. We don't focus on making students to be able to speak English. No, we focus making them having high self-confidence and not afraid of making mistakes. So that's the point. Sorry. So that's why here things here is like a therapy for the students if they want to learn how to speak English fluently. So they should get this first. The first is listen up. Okay, So listen up here is the process of making us able to speak, because speaking is derived from listening. So we just expose the students to listen more and more, although they don't understand the point. We just encourage the student to listen. Just listen up, and listen up. Okay, and while they are listening to the English materials, don't forget to encourage them to imitate. Ask them to imitate what they are listening to. And the next is the voice. The voice they are using in practicing their English should be powerful voice, not weak voice. Because if we use weak voice, I think it will influence the nerve of the brain. But if we use powerful voice, our brain, the nerve of our brain can be more active in giving response to what we are learning. And the next is mouth here. The main key to make students able to speak English is using their own mouth. So we encourage the students to use their mouth to speak English more and more and more, because speaking is the mouth action. Speaking is mouth action. If you, no matter how long you are studying English, no matter how long you are memorizing vocabulary, no matter how long you are trying, if you're speaking, you just keep silent. You don't use your mouth for all of the time. So I think it is impossible for us to be able to speak English fluently. So speaking is mouth action. So the more we are speaking, the better we are, able to speak that language. And the next is we encourage the student when they are speaking English, they have to do motion, they have to do gestures, they have to do body language. Why? Because while having body language, people will understand the message we are going to deliver, not by the language we are going to say, but sometimes people understand by looking at the gestures we are making. So we encourage the student to use motion, to use gestures in their learning of speaking English. And the next is smile. Smile here, according to research, smile here can encourage or activate the nerve of the brain to be more brilliant. And the point in this case is we encourage the student that when they are learning English, they should say smile, and after that say, okay, I will try. So, for example, with these students to speak English, and they are afraid of making mistakes, for example. So we encourage the student that when they are learning English, they should face with a smile. So face with a smile. Just say cheese and then say, okay, sir, I'll try. So because when we encourage the student to face everything with a smile, so I think it can encourage their motivation. It can encourage their self-confidence to do more, to learn more. If we are silent, for example, the students are silent, being sad with everything. So I think it will influence the nerve of the brain to be passive. Okay, and the next is thank God. Thank God here means what we are doing. We should thank to God. Why? Because by thanking to God, we don't need to complain a lot. By thanking to God, it can influence also the nerve of the brain to be more brilliant. The person who used to complain on everything, their brain become passive. Their brain become dull. Their brain become blunt. But if we thank to God for all of the time, so it can increase the nerve of our brain to be more brilliant. So we encourage the students to thank God. To thank God means to say our gratitude to God. And by thanking to God, we can see the positive side of our English. ourselves. And the last is love. Love means we do everything what we're going to do with love. We when we are learning English, when we do it with love, I think it will be amazing, and it's like a joy for us when we are doing something with love. So we encourage the student add things before here, like listening, imitating, voice, mouth, motion, smile, thank God, and love here, to be their therapy, self-therapy, those can increase their self-confidence. Those can decrease their being afraid of making mistakes. So we should focus on this. Before teaching them to speak English, we should encourage them to have those 8 things before. We don't need to focus on teaching them on how to be able to speak English. Meanwhile, they still have that disease, like feeling afraid of making mistakes and no self-confidence, something like that. So that's the first point. And the second is getting more fluent in the EFL speaking, becoming a multi-dimensional active speaker. So here I propose 3 dimensional active speaker. The first is one-dimensional active speaker. The second is two-dimensional active speaker, and the last is three-dimensional active speaker. Okay, so let me come to the first. One-dimensional active speaker here is for the one who has problems. I have no partner to talk to. I have no idea to talk about. I have lack of vocabulary items. So one-dimensional active speaker here is for someone who has problem. I have no partner to talk to. Sometimes students say, "Sir, I don't have any partner to talk to, and I have no idea what topic should I talk about, and I have lack of vocabulary." So to overcome this problem, so here let me share you the tips. The first here, look at the things around you. So look at the things around you. So they are your friends to talk to. For example, you see mouse here. Okay, you see mouse here. So uh, it is our friend to talk to. For example, we say, "Hi mouse, how are you?" For example, so make it as our friend. And I have no idea to talk about, so you can talk about mouse. Well, this is my mouse. The color is black, and there is a lime here, and the color of the lime is red, for example. So this is the idea or the topic we can talk about. And next we can take it as the topic to discuss about. Oh, hello Suki. I think you are a good snack, and I think it is nice for you to eat this snack. And let me open you. Wow, that's amazing. Oh, let me try. Wow, that's great, amazing. For example, so this can be the partner to talk to, and this can be the topic to discuss about. And how about lacking of vocabulary item? Again, if for example I am Indonesian and I don't know in English, so I invite my students to what is that? To combine between English and Indonesian language, or even their mother tongue language. The main point is fluency should come first. They don't need to think for a long time to think about English words that they do not know. Okay, so that's the point. Okay, in practicing this dimensional active speaker, there are 2 points. Sorry. The first is specific topic, and the second is general topic. Specific topic, like I taught you, talk about this. So this is specific topic. If I say talk about general topic, for example, talk about snack in the world, for example. So that is general topic. Now we come to the next slide. Hang on. Okay, So specific topic and general topic. For specific topic, the tips how to improve your fluency is specific topic. For example, talk about your pen. Okay, this is my pen. Talk about this book. So specific mean you have your, this, that, my book, for example. So this is specific. So the steps is the first, make 3D sentences. Means make positive sentences, negative sentences, and interrogative sentences. Change the subject or the verb of the object. Make questions analysis, or move to another topic. Keep talking for making brain and mouth automatic. For example, um, this is my pen. This is not my pen. Okay, I think this is my friend's pen. This is no, this is not my friend's pen. For example, oh really? I guess this pen is my father's pen. I guess. Uh, is this pen expensive? No, for example. So talk about the pen. If you find bottle, for example, talk about bottle. You make 3D sentences, positive sentences, negative sentences. You change the subject. I hold bottle. I don't hold bottle. My father doesn't hold bottle. Uh, you change the verb. For example, I hold bottle. I touch the bottle. I put the bottle on my head. For example, oh, I hold the bottle with two hands. Oh, I throw the bottle. So you change the verb. So the main point is keep talking. And if you stuck at one point, so you make questions, you answer the question by yourself. And if for general topic, for example, talk about pen. So you talk about pen in general, not only this pen, but in general. So if you want to practice a general topic, the first is make mind mapping or semantic mapping. Explore it more by making more detailed mind mapping. Look at your mind mappings as to gather your ideas on the topic. Take a deep breath. Start with what is or talking about. Use fillers such as blah blah blah. Okay, this is the mind mapping. Like a spot here, the first mind mapping, the second football. So I take one football to be another mind mapping, another mind mapping. So the more you are making mind mapping, related mind mapping, I think the better your idea will produce several sentences to have. And spot here, this is the example of semantic mapping. So this is more systematic because you talk about definition, advantages, kinds of spot, blah blah blah. Okay, so you make that mind mapping, and after that, look at the mind mapping. For example, here you have football, advantage, cause, athlete, player, coach, costumes, supporters, World Cup, clubs, courts. And after that, take a deep breath and start with what is. Okay, well, talking about sport, what is sport, for example? Well, sport is blah 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 blah. Well, sport, here we have football. What is football? Football is blah blah blah. So by looking at those mind mapping, so we can collect ideas to talk about. So finally, we don't say I have no idea to talk about. No, why? Because we collect that ideas before we are talking. And I think it's really working if you can practice this to improve your speaking skill. And now the next. So the first is for the person who doesn't have any partner to talk to and have no idea to talk about. So you can practice one-dimensional active speaker. And now the second, two-dimensional active speaker here for the ones who encounter problem, passive into-way communication, low in understanding and responding. For example, you have partner to talk to, A and B students, for example, but you have low understanding and responding. Sometimes you are easy to catch the questions but difficult to answer, or you are difficult to understand the questions, but I think you can answer that. So probably you are not as active as two-dimensional active speaker. So how to improve your being automatic or fluency? I mean fluent for a two-dimensional active speaker here. So in discussing, in having discussion with partner, for example, so we use bowling method or badminton method. And it is in my culture, Indonesian culture, when we are talking to partner, so we usually use bowling method. So if there are two players, so we should take in turn to play bowling. Take in turn. But in badminton method, we are on the alert. We don't need to wait one another. The main point, as long as you have got ball, so you directly, shuttlecock. You directly smash it. So I think that's it. So in my culture, Indonesian culture, when we are talking to partner, I think it is impolite for us to interrupt someone or to make interruption while someone is speaking. For example, when teacher is speaking and students, is impolite if the students interrupt when teacher is speaking. So this is what we call by bowling method, taking in turns. I am speaking, you are listening. You are answering, you are questioning, I will answer. I'm answering. So this is taking in turn, and this is not good. Why? Because it can lower our understanding and responding. Why? Because we will be passive in two-way communities. But if we use badminton method, so we are on the alert. As long as we have got questions, we directly have it. And how how to be active in a two-dimensional active speaker? The tips is the first question attack. Being questions, question back. So the technique is when you have got two students here, A and B, so encourage them to have a question. If there are questions, so they have to question back. For example, a student say, "What's your name, please?" My name is Wafi. And how about you? So after answering the question, they must ask another question. So we train the students to have that. And having a chain questions. Chain questions mean here related questions. For example, a student say, "What's your name, please?" My name is Wafi. And how about you? So after answering the question, they must ask another question. So we train the students to have that. And having a chain questions. What about you? My name is John. How do you spell your name? It's a WAFI. And how about you? How do you spell your name? JOSA. XN, for example. And what do you get that name? So they have a chain question to train their brain in order they can have better understanding and responding. Having interrupting game. Okay, so we give students like a game interrupting game to improve their understanding and responding. Okay, for example, here another the next slide that I would like to share you. Okay, here's the example. Chain questions one. What is it? It is a pen. What is a pen? A pen is to write. What is write? Write is a verb. What is verb? Verb is action. What is action? Something like that. So we make students into in pair, and after that we train them to have a chain question one. And chain question two here. What is your name? Who named you the name? So we discuss one topic, but we produce a lot of questions by using one topic. This is chain question two. And for interrupting game here, this is the expression of having interrupt someone else, like, sorry, but excuse me for interrupting, but can I add here that I'd like to comment on that, and blah blah. So in practicing this interrupting game, so one student is telling story, and after that another student, try to interrupt as many as possible. So I think it is really nice to improve their automaticity, their fluency in two-dimensional active speaker. And now we come to the last one. Three-dimensional active speaker. This is for the ones who have a stage fright, got blank towards public discussion and debate. Sometimes students, when they are impaired, they are active. But when they join English debate, for example, they are in group discussion. Sometimes they become passive. So how to, how to encourage them to be active in such a situation in a public discussion? So discussion, for example. So the first tips is create a free market atmosphere. Be pro for the contra and be contra for the pro. Talk in reverse. So the tips, if you want to be active in public discussion, so you try yourself to be pro for the contra and to be contra for the pro. Talk in reverse. For example, if someone say agree, agree with one motion, so you have to say disagree with that. You train yourself. If someone agree, so you just say disagree. If someone disagree, you just say agree. If someone disagree, you just say agree. So try be pro for the contra and be contra for the pro, and try to express yourself in that public discussion, and prepare your powerful powerful voice and energetic gestures. Who controls who? In public discussion, like in debate here, who controls who? Who controls who? That's for sure. If you have got low voice and your people around you have a high voice, so surely you are controlled by them. Why? Because your voice is low. So that's why you have a powerful voice and energetic gesture. Try to control everyone. And the next is asking and giving an opinion and setting agreement and disagreement. Do crowd reaction game here. This is the crowd reaction. This is, for example, asking for opinion, giving opinion in the comments, saying agreement, and okay. So, for example, I give one discussion. Money is everything. So we encourage the student to give their opinion. If they say, here, I agree with you. You're absolutely right that money is everything. So another one said, that's just not true, for example. So we try to invite the student, encourage the student to be active in that discussion, public discussion. That's what we call by crowd reaction game. And the last one here is the conclusion. Okay, the first is speaking is a mouth action. That's the key. If you want to be able to speak English fluently, so use your mouth. That is there is no other key. Just use your mouth. How about many vocabulary items? Okay. How about good grammar? Okay. But as long as you don't use your mouth to speak, so that's impossible for you to be able to speak English well. And then the second is no one could ever touch and force your mouth to speak. It is on us. So we can't touch students' mouth to speak English. So that's why our help to them is limited. Why? Because we can't touch their mouth and force them to speak English. So this is on their own. Their own willingness to use their mouth. The more we use our mouth to speak, the more fluent our mouth will be. That's true. And being a multi-dimensional active English speakers need struggle. So work for it. So everyone, ladies and gentlemen, like I told you that the technique strategies I share you here, if you don't practice it, so I think it is impossible to give effect to you. But if you practice it more and more, you work for it. So you will get the benefit of the technique I share you about. Practice makes perfect. So be practically perfect and perfectly practice means practice more and more. I don't have any partner to talk to, so everything can be your partner. I have no topic to discuss about, so everything can be topic to discuss. When you are in the bathroom, you can talk about water, you can talk about deeper. When you are in the kitchen, you can talk about everything in the kitchen. When you are in everywhere, you can talk about everything. So everything here can be your topic to talk to, and can be the topic to discuss about, and can be the topic to discuss about, and can be your partner to talk to. So I think that's it, and good luck. May Allah bless us as always. Amin. So that's what I can share you about how to improve learning language in this global use of English. You know that English is a need in daily life. So how to improve our English? So I share you those tips. Thank you very much. May those are helpful for you. Okay, thank you, Mr. Moderator. Okay, that's it.
Sir, go for unmute yourself first.
Oh, I'm sorry for that.
Hello, sir.
Again, thank you so much, Sir Abdul Wafi, for taking your time to prepare for us for such a wonderful, extraordinary presentation. That's really flawless. I mean, thank you. I'm unsolicited, but uh,
Wow, I guess I'm too long
I'm
to
dead on
be.
air. I'm dead on air. I'm awfully sorry for that. Again, thank you so much for that wonderful presentation and for taking your time to prepare for us such an extraordinary presentation. It's really awesome, sir. And then thank you also for making us realize how important English communication in the globalization. We are talking here about 21st century where there is a globalization going on. There seems to be a free interaction and integration among people all over the world. And as Sir Wafi mentioned earlier, English is the the official language in the world. So we are bound really to learn English speaking. And then I'm also glad to hear about your English speaking therapy. Okay, I'm so goes down to learn that smile, thank God, love is really part of your speaking English speaking therapy. There is you have to listen up, you have to imitate the voice, the mouth, and the motion that you have to consider. But at the last part of it, there is smile. Of course, when you smile, despite of the heavy load that you're carrying on the shoulder, it could actually lighten up your burden with smile. All right, and then thank God, of course when we are being thankful to God, then everything would be. I mean, there is nothing impossible with God if we happen to be thankful with God, and also love. The last part of your English speaking therapy is love. Of course, when you love, 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 and love, and then love will return to you. All right. So again, thank you so much, Sir Wafi, for that very inspiring presentation. And again, on behalf of the Institute of Global Professionals, please do accept our thanks, our appreciation, and congratulations again for that awesome presentation. All right. And so at this juncture, ladies and gentlemen, yes, okay. Is somebody asking question? All right. So at this juncture, ladies and gentlemen, uh, we are about to start with our quiz competition. Okay, for tonight's webinar, and the code is projected on the screen. That's 22222. That's five twos. All right. You have to make use of that for you to get in and for you to join in the quiz competition. And so there you have your names. Okay. We have the first question. English teachers primarily operate at the high end of a standard. Is that true or false? Does English teachers primarily operate at the high end of a standard? True or false? All right. So we're done. 81% of the participants say yes, while 19% of our participants say it's false. And the correct answer is false. Congratulations to those participants who said false. You've got the correct answer. All right. And so we have here the result of the competition. We have on the number one list, we have Kabahog. I think it's Kabahog. For the next question, teachers frequently pause questions to engage children's thinking. Is that developmentally appropriate practice, DAP, or developmentally inappropriate practice, or yes, DIP? Again, teachers frequently pause questions to engage children's thinking. All right, is that developmentally appropriate or inappropriate? 95% of our participants said yes, it's appropriate. It's an appropriate practice, and that is the correct answer. All right, that's appropriate practice. All right, so we have here on the okay. So let's proceed with the third question. I think it says the most important role of the teacher is the facilitator of learning. Is it true or false? What do you think of that? The most important role of the teacher is the facilitator of learning. What do you think, guys? Is it true or false? Come on, keep answering this question. All right, 98% of the. Okay, so the correct answer is true. The most important role of the teacher is the facilitator of learning. 98% of our participants got the correct answer. That's true. All right. Okay, for the fourth question, acting in a supporting role means educators should a take observational notes that are objective, call home with our diagnosis, and avoid jumping to conclusions and take observational notes or avoid jumping to conclusions. All right. So 67% of the participant said take observational notes that are objective. Unfortunately, the correct answer is avoid jumping to conclusions and take observational notes. That's the correct answer. 31% of our participants got the correct answer. So we have here, okay, now let's proceed to number 5 questions, which says when it comes to confidentiality, teachers must keep everything to themselves, get familiar with the school's policies and procedures, share student info with other teachers, or report everything to the students' parents. All right. So, okay, just choose which do you think is suited for that question. All right. 56 of the respondents said get familiar with the school's policies and procedures. Unfortunately, that's the correct answer. Meaning to say 56 of the participants get the correct answer. Okay, we have here the list of the participants who get the highest score. Now let's proceed to number 6 question. It says teachers use worksheets as teaching tools. Okay, is that developmentally appropriate practice or developmentally inappropriate practice for the teachers to use worksheets as a teaching tools? All right. 83% of the participants said yes, it's appropriate practice, while 70% said no. The correct answer is it's developmentally inappropriate practice. 17% of our participants got the correct answer. All right. Okay, so we have here the results. And then let's now proceed to number 7 question. It says teachers need to make sure and role model appropriate behavior for their students. Is it true or false? Is it true or false? The teachers need to make sure and role model appropriate behavior for their students. All right. So here we go. 99% of the participants said yes, that's true. However, 1% said it's false. And let's find which one is the correct answer. It's true, ladies and gentlemen. Congratulations. 99% of our participants got the correct answer. So we have the results on the screen. Okay. Number 8 question. It says the role of a graduation coach is register students for classes, or identify students in need of support to remain on track for graduation. What do you think, guys? Is the appropriate answer, the closest answer for the role of a graduation coach? All right, let's find out which one is the correct answer. 96% of the participants said identify students in need of support to remain on track for graduation, and that's the correct answer. All right, congratulations. 96% of the participants got the correct answer. For number 9 question, it says the role of teachers in a 21st century classroom shifts from that of the expert to that of the inhibitor, facilitator, delayer. All right, inhibitor, facilitator, delayer. Shifting from expert to inhibitor, facilitator, delayer. What do you think, guys? Okay, what do you think? 94% of the participants said it's a shift actually from expert to facilitator. 6% of, all right, congratulations. 94% of our participants got the correct answer by saying facilitator. It's a shift from being expert to a facilitator. We have the score on the screen. Now let's proceed to number 10 question, which says the majority of teachers are female. Does this give girls a positive role model? Is it yes, no, or maybe? All right. What do you think is the answer? What is your take? What is your opinion? How do you feel about the question? Okay. Does this give girls a positive role model? 45% of the participants said yes. However, 44% said no, while 11% said maybe. Let's find out which one is the correct answer. It's yes. Congratulations. 45% of our participants got the correct answer. We have Miriam Acosta leading the score on the screen, followed by Krisa Rica Kilboyen. I hope I got it correct. And number three is Grace Dizon Alto. So congratulations to the top three winners. Okay, we have second runner-up is Grace Dizon Alto. First runner-up is Krisa Rica Kilboyen. And we have a winner. We have a winner, that's Merlane Acosta. Is this Merlane? Merlane Acosta. Okay, so for you to get your certificate, all you have to do is you simply check in to the Institute of Global Professional website. That's www.eduigp.com. And also, you can also keep in touch with the organizers like Sir Showman, okay, for the process on how you could possibly receive and get your certificates. And apart from that, we'll be showing video. All right, we'll be showing video on how you could possibly get your certificate, as well as those certificate of participations for those uh, participants who patiently
Yes,
wait.
sorry
Okay,
for interruption. Sorry
who
for
patiently
interruption.
attentive and pay attention to our speaker's presentation right from the start till the end.
Hello, sir.
All right.
Hello, sir.
Yes,
Yes, actually,
Showman, can we show the video?
yeah, you missed
Yes.
something. You missed something that is, for quiz competition
Yes.
winners, first, second, and third. Those are requested to contact with our page inbox with your full name, that we can issue the certificates immediately. And you can see the screen, which we already paint in the screen. Quiz completion winners, first, second, third, are requested to contact our page inbox with your full name immediately. Requested to contact our page inbox only those three participants who already completed quiz competition first, second, and third. If you are not able to reach, then we can issue
Yes.
the certificates with your given name. So thank you so much, sir. Gafur, please continue.
Yes. I think those three winners were actually they were able to provide their complete names. All they have to do is make a connection. You simply contact the IGP websites for you to be able to get your certificate. That certificate of recognition for garnering such an awesome score during the quiz competition for tonight's webinar. All right. So. And also, at the end of the seminar, we'll be showing you the video on how you could download and get your certificate of participation for Okay, so can we respectfully request our speakers to turn off, I mean to turn on their camera? Hello, speakers, notable speakers. Can you please turn on your camera and microphone so that we can have a live interaction for the question and answer portion? And this is one of the highlights of this webinar. All right, Sir Rafi has not yet turned on his camera. Sir Rafi, are you still there? Sir Abdul Wafi. Okay, so can we start? I think Sir Rafi is uh, turning off his microphone as well as his camera. Okay, so anyway, shall we start with the first question? Ma'am Santiana and Dr. Abdul Ghafoor. Okay, so let's start with the first question from Amy or Amy. Her question goes like this: what do you what do you think is the most common weakness of the 21st century teachers? Okay, anybody from our eminent speakers can have an answer to that question. What do you think is the most common weakness of the 21st century teachers? What is your take? Let's start with Dr. Abdul Ghafoor.
Hello,
Yes,
hello.
sir. What is your take about the question?
Okay.
Yes, we can hear you clear, but it's a bit low.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Uh,
We can hear you clearly, but it's a
Test.
bit. I think you need to turn up your volume just a bit for us to hear you clearly and well.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can hear you clear and well. Sir, can you hear us?
Hello.
Okay. Yes, sir. We can hear you clearly. Can you hear us? Okay, I think we have to
Hello.
go back to Dr. Abdul Ghafoor while he is fixing his microphone. Can we have Ma'am Santiana? Hello, Ma'am Santiana.
All right. Can you hear my voice?
Okay. Yes, we hear you clearly.
Okay. So, what is the question again? May you repeat for me?
What do you think is the most yes? What do you think is the most common weakness of the 21st century teachers? Ma'am, the question is projected on the screen. Yes. What do you think is the most common weakness of the 21st century teachers?
Um, in my opinion, the common weaknesses from the teachers in 21st century learning is they didn't able to use any kinds of application to support teaching and learning process, and then they stuck in the methodology that is not really related to this 21st century learning.
Yes. That's a very insightful answer. To sum it up, it's simply because of it simply talks about their readiness and adaptability of the gadgets, the digital tools that's being available right now. That's the weakness of some of the teachers in the 21st century. We have another question from Jessie Janio Andam, and she says, if the student is not good in English, Sir Abdul, hello, Sir Abdul, are you still there? We have a question for you. How will you teach him that he will not be humiliated or in the way that he's not being bullied? The question is, if the student is not good in English, Sir Abdul, I hope Sir
Hello.
Abdul yes, is with us.
Okay. Can you
Sir
hear my
Abdul,
voice?
are you still? Yes, we can hear you clearly.
Okay.
Can you do you mind turning on your camera so that we can see you clearly I think your voice is okay. It's good enough. And somebody from our live audience posed a question exclusive for you, sir. And the question goes like this: if the student is not good in English, Sir Abdul, how will you teach him that he will not be humiliated?
Okay. Can you hear my voice? Hello.
Yes, sir. We can hear you
Okay.
now, clear and well.
Okay. Okay. I can read the question from the screen. According to my opinion, um, the real job of a teacher is that the teacher should facilitate the students, and the teacher should um, motivate the students in learning. So for those students who are not good in English, um, that's okay. That the teacher should encourage the students to study, to speak. Uh, don't worry about the grammar first at the first level. Don't worry about the grammar, but please just speak up and try to motivate the students, encourage the students, and engage the students with active learning activities. I think that's all.
All right. Thank you, Sir Abdul Wafi, for that very insightful question. And now let's proceed with another question. This time from Laarni Ramos. Okay, this question is going out to Ma'am Santiana. The question is, how will the 21st century learning bridge the gap of the learning at this time of pandemic? How will the 21st century learning bridge the gap of the learning at this time of pandemic? All right. So simply put it this way, how will the 21st century fill the gaps, okay, of the current type of learning that we're having in this time of pandemic compared to, uh, I think, 21st century,
All right. So,
or simply
when
put
we,
this, yes, yes, yes.
uh, hello, can you hear my voice?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
All right. So, how will the 21st century learning bridge the gap of the learning at this time of pandemic? I think that when we teach in this pandemic era, the teachers should gain every kinds of uh, application to help them to deliver materials. So it is possible to the teacher to transfer their knowledge without any obstacle.
Yes, thank you, ma'am, for that answer. And I think that that's it. That's bridging the gap already by making use of the available tools that we are in the market right now. We are living in the pandemic where everything is so restricted. So by introducing all those tools, and then that's a way of bridging the gap, I think. All right. So we have here a question from Clarice Jen Cambong, and her question says, "What educational tools do you use in your teaching that you would like to recommend to us?" Okay. Can we hear this time from Sir Abdul Ghafoor? Zuri?
Okay. Okay. May I answer this
What do you
question?
think?
Okay.
Yes, yes, yes.
Um, there are a lot tool
Yes,
on
sir. You have
platform
the floor now.
that we can use for our teaching and learning in the classroom. We usually call it LMS, a learning management system. So we can use like Google Classroom in simple way. We can also use Edmodo application, Canvas, or Moodle.
Yes,
Okay, and the most cheapest one
yes,
is we can use for discussion like WhatsApp or Telegram.
yes, yes, yes. So those are the platforms that are available that the students as well as use off, okay, to ensure the continuity of the learning despite of the pandemic that we are experiencing right now. Thank you so much, sir, for that insightful answer. This time from Maria Cristina Florentino Bagondol. Her question is, if you were able to make a Padlet and wants to edit it, is it allowable considering that there is a max indicated or maximum indicated, which is three Padlets only? And I think this is going out to speaker number one, and that's Sir Abdul Ghafoor. Sir, can you read the question clearly? If you're able to make a Padlet and wants to edit it, is it allowable considering that there is a max, I think that's maximum indicated, which is three Padlets only?
Um, Hello.
Yes, can you contextualize the question, sir, now?
I can see the questions. Hello.
Okay.
The question, okay, if
Okay.
you were able to
If
make
you
a Padlet, okay,
okay and wants to edit, is it allowable considering that there is a maximum indicated, which is three Padlets only? Um, I think we may have we may have several Padlets account, and we can use email or Facebook account for um, registering the Padlet.
okay, okay. Thank you for answering that question, Sir Abdul Ghafoor. And then, do we have another question, Sir Showman? Or could that be all for the question from the live audience?
Sir, go for it's late night in Philippines and Malaysia. So we should stop here.
Yes. Okay, could that be all for the question and answer portion, Mrs. Showman? My partner Showman. Hello, so Showman. Okay, we are projecting on the screen the instructions on how you can get your certificate. So we have here the certification link, and then we have the instructions. Okay, of course, certificate code is not actually required. You don't have to use any certification code. All right, and then we have here the certification link now available in comment box and pin comment. Okay, so you simply visit the Facebook page and there is the pin comment wherein you can actually see the link for the certification. The link for you to get your certificates. And if you cannot click those links, you can actually just go visit the IGP website. That's www.eduigp.com to actually claim and get your certificates for free. Okay, so if you are new, you have to create your own account, and after you log in, then you have to find the seminar title and get enrolled. Of course, you have to get yourselves enrolled first, and then after you enroll, and then you have to click the get your certificate button, and then automatically it will be downloaded to you. I mean, your certificate will be automatically downloaded. Okay, so as simple as that. It's auto downloadable. So you have to check your file manager after downloading. It could be in your cell phone, mobile phone, or in your laptop or desktop. Okay, if nothing's happened, okay, please do contact our staff at IGP. All right. So that's exactly when you try to visit the IGP website, this is exactly what you can see on the screen. Okay. You try to find the seminar that you are attending, I mean, the title of the seminar that you have attended. And then, okay, on the bottom part, you can see the button download certificates. And this is exactly the template of the certificate that you'll be receiving. Okay. All right. It looks so good. All right. Okay. So I think that conclude our tonight's webinar. On behalf of the Institute of Global Professional, we would like to express our healthy thanks and appreciation to all of our speakers, all the way from Indonesia, like Sir Abdul Ghafoor Marzuki, Mom Santiana, and Sir Abdul Wafi for taking your time off of your busy schedule and join us for this for tonight's webinar. It's really a pleasure having you guys here in this multi webinar. And then see you in the next webinar. Okay, we have a next webinar on pipeline. It's teaching model with a multi approach. Okay, we have invited also a speaker from India, from Croatia, and from Indonesia to share their sites on the next topic for our next webinar. That's going to be on June 10, all right, same time. And the topic is teaching model with multi approach. Okay, so much for that. All is well that ends well. Again, we would like to express our hearty thanks and appreciation to all of our invited speakers for sharing their time and knowledge and wisdom to us for tonight's webinar, and also to all of our live audience participants for their patience. Okay, right from the start up to the very end for their active participation. All right, so you know now the process of on how you could actually get and download the certificates. So I think that's all for now. Again, thank you for joining us for tonight's webinar. This has been your host, Mr. Gafor Impanimbang from Mindanao, Philippines, saying thank you and assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi